Welcome to the 38th episode of A Girl, a Guy, and a Movie. Tonight's 38th episode of A Girl.
I had it turned all the way off and it still does it. I don't understand why. And I'm never going to figure it out if I haven't figured it out already. Sorry.
You're good. Tonight's movie, we watched The Condemned. And it has Vinnie Jones and Steve Austin in it, and it's produced by WWE, and it was made in 2007, right in that sweet spot where WWE started really making some big-name movies with their stars. Janet, did you see this movie in the theaters?
I don't remember. I think I might have.
Okay.
But it was a while back, so I don't really remember. I just remember I really liked it.
I remember watching The Marine, and I really liked The Marine. Like the opening to The Marine is like the best that WWE has ever filmed. Because I found it really dark-heartedly good humor. Just not wholesome humor, but just if you've got a dark sense of humor, it's a great movie. Like the first 7 minutes of it. And this movie here, I probably won't watch again. It's not a bad film. It's definitely got some good scenes to it, and the scenes where you got your actors that get to act, they've got some really good things. I've got some criticisms of the movie though.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think it's the actor's fault. I'll lay that at the altar of blame for the director of photography. The mid-2000s shaky cam fight scenes are like I gnaw on that bone every time I find it.
Yeah, I noticed that a lot, but I threw it to the fact that they were trying to make it look like it was being filmed by the people on the ground, hidden around them. So I took it that way because not all the fight scenes, like inside of the compound, there was a couple other little rough and tumble scenes inside, like the jail, and a few other places like that before they were actually on camera to be streamed live over the internet, and it wasn't like that. So
Yeah.
that's why as I watched it, that's what I took it as when it was on the island, that it was live streaming or whatever from the people in the jungle, crawling around in their garb or whatever to stay hidden. But I could be wrong. I'd have to go back and watch it again just to be more specific. But I don't remember it being anywhere like that. Like when they were having the jail fights.
Yes.
In the jail yard and things like that. It wasn't all jumping around like that. So I took it as that's what it was from. And they were trying to make it look more realistic, like it was like they were down there trying to get a good shot for the people on the web.
I wish they didn't do that. I really do. You're WWE, you have multi-billion-dollar corporation in 2007. Please hire a cameraman that knows how far back to stay, and he can get a good shot of all the action going on. Or if you're going to do a sweeping shot, make sure you have enough movement available to where you can do the movement, but you don't make it look like you're having Corky from my whatever show it was. I don't need Corky to try to have a seizure and hold the camera steady.
Yeah, what it looked like to me was, I don't know if you've seen a few things, but you have the kids that have not even a GoPro is even that bouncy. You know what I mean? No. When you strap it on your chest and you have a GoPro on, it's pretty smooth. But this one, it almost looked just like, those little webcams that you could buy that your hand slid around it and it went through the little slot, and you'd see the kids running.
About.
Okay, that's to me what it looked like when I would rewind and go back and look at that one scene because of the jerkiness of it. The first time I noticed it the most was when he fought the big burly guy.
Yes.
That's when I went, "Oh, man, that's really rowdy," it's, like, really bouncing around and stuff. So, I rewound it because I thought maybe the DVD was dirty or something, at first when I went back to watch it again, and then wow, it looks like whoever was doing it was actually holding a handheld. So then after I watched it and then I saw it again a little later in the one scenes with Vinnie Jones when he tumbles down the rocks and stuff,
Hmm.
I thought, oh, they must be trying to make it look like it's on the ground teams, filming it. So that's and then I just wrote it off as that. So wasn't near as upset about the way it looked because I was trying to understand why you would want it to be uh like they were trying to mount the cameras to the fighters or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that could have actually looked better because there's plenty of movies out there that they do really good motion work with cameras that are mounted inconveniently. Hardcore Henry is probably the movie that I like the best that does that, and that's not a very high bar movie. That's a pretty much a very much a fever dream of like a 12-year-old boy, and it is because like
Yeah.
you've got a hot girlfriend, and it shows it all from the main character's perspective. All the fights have to be filmed from that perspective, and you have a few people that you'll notice from other movies that they've been roped into this one, and they do a pretty good job of directing all the action, showing the main character where he has to go and everything. But Hardcore Henry is the highest peak on that mountain of movies that are shot from like person's point of view. Oh, oh my god! And we are not even 10 minutes in, and my sponsors have arrived.
Oh no. I'm sorry. I was trying to get some tape to tape this paper because it keeps slopping over so I can read it.
Oh, you're good. You're good, Janet.
There, I think I got rid of them.
Nice.
Oh, you have to look and make sure. It said remove.
Yeah, you did well.
Okay, great. Well, I just didn't see them because I was trying to reach over and get some tape to tape these two pieces of paper that keep falling apart.
So I like this movie.
When we watched that other movie that had Stone Cold in it, that's what I always call him, but Steve Austin in it. When it had Steve Austin in it, and I told you that I saw another movie that I thought he did really good in because he actually had uh, lines, you know what I mean? And a character, and unlike that one part where he was just kicking people's butt, protecting his boss.
Yeah.
Remember? So this was the one I was talking about because I thought he did a really good job for the type of character he was supposed to be.
And he did a good job in this movie. I'm rather impressed with his acting in this film. Uh, he plays. We really don't get a good idea of who he is. There's like a small bit of exposition that tells you that he's ex-military, lived in Texas, has a girlfriend with kids,
Mm-hmm.
and that's about all we really get out of it. The rest of it is kind of you have to fill in some blanks in your head and just roll with it because the movie's going whether or not you're wanting to do that.
Yes,
Now,
the part I had a problem with that part was, they to me, they put too much emphasis, or time on screen of, like, the Asian guy doing flips and them dolly-gagging around, just sitting, things like that, when they coulda put a little bit more effort into the story about why he was in the prison and, what they were gonna try to do to get him out of there. You know what I mean?
mhm,
It would have made it a little more ops
enjoyable for us.
like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
uh, and it had a little bit more woke in it than I remember when I first saw it. The part about making it look like uh, I don't know, trying to exactly put my finger on it, but making it all out that um, they're all out just for themselves, the government, even though I really believe that, but I just didn't think. I thought I went a little overboard about making the one guy so hesitant not to help this guy, you know.
Yes.
Uh, that was a little bit made it a little bit too far fetched for me. I thought that yeah, him saying, yeah, I'm going to do everything I can, but the top brass or something like that type of a thing would have been to me a little bit more. Um, I don't know.
Believable or sellable.
Yeah, sellable
Reason
to
to it.
me. And the fact that they put such little time on those three characters, the way that they were working together in the offices, in the city, away
Yes.
from the island where they were at. But now the guy that played the top technical guy, I'm trying to
You
remember
know,
what his name
Goldie.
was.
You talking
Yeah,
about Goldie or Shaggy? The guy that looks like Shaggy.
no, not Shaggy, the other one,
Okay.
Polly.
Okay.
Okay, Polly, when I see some of his mannerisms and things that he does, it reminds me a little of you, the character, his
Hmm.
character. It reminds me of you a little bit. But
Okay.
like what do you think I am, Jesus, or whatever, that type of stuff about, everyone's always asking you to do stuff and you're like, what? I'm just a one person. I can't do all this, I can't pull it out of my ass or whatever, that type of stuff. I just really liked his character in this thing, and then he finally grew a set of balls towards the end when he realized this is just way over the top.
You're in pretty deep. You're on this island in Papua New Guinea, and you're filming this. The Navy's on their way to come and pretty much extradite you all back to the States because you're doing a snuff film for the internet.
Hmm.
Kind of illegal.
Well, before they knew anything like that, the fact that a lot of them were all gung ho to do it, except for his girlfriend, when the part came where the one girl was about to be raped and it was going to be live, and
Yeah.
people were looking at each other like, what are we supposed to do, or how are we supposed to react, because nobody really knew how to react when they saw that. But we're getting ahead of ourselves, really. um, the whole thing at the beginning, I thought the whole premise was really believable. I mean, you got all these people, like right now with this whole Twitter, the Twitter drops and the spaces bringing in, thousands and thousands and thousands of people, things like that. And then you having these live streams on YouTube, and you got all these live streams and all these different websites. And what does everybody want? They want something shocking to get people to come to subscribe to their channels and to watch their channels. The longer they can keep them on there, the more money they're going to make, that type of attitude. So all of that behind the scenes part that you see between the guy running the show and his people underneath that are set up in the tents and everything, with all the electronics and dishes and all the hands they've got running around. You got cables and wires everywhere and CPU units, just it seemed very believable to me, the whole thing about it. And the technical jargon that they used when the different people were talking to each other, and they had a woman that did nothing but sound, and then you had people for the cameras, where the cameras are all set up. That's why I like the one guy, Paulie, because basically he'd been there for a while, having his people string line to hang all the cameras on, and hidden cameras, and mounting cameras to different trees, and setting it all up so you can click from one to the other to see different angles, because of where they were planning on having the people dropped, to be able to see different things going on between the interactions of the criminals, right?
Correct.
So all of that to me seemed very realistic and believable. It was the concept behind the fighting to the death type thing is, I, honestly, right now, I think that something like that would be uh, huge numbers of people wanting to see it, especially if you knew and you hyped it up like he did when he lost the one Arab guy that he wanted, because he said, "You see this whole continent right here? We don't have anybody from that. We don't have anybody from them this country that's going to log in to root for their guy." You see what I mean? So
Yeah.
I thought that was very believable and very realistic. The attitude and the way he talked about pushing this, because everybody wants to see the newest scandal, what's going on, uh, like when there's a, uh, like when OJ Simpson was driving down the road in the Bronco. I mean, I don't know how many hundreds of thousands or a million people were watching it on TV while it was happening. You know what I mean? And that was, I don't remember what year that was, but this
94.
definitely seemed like it could be,
Oh,
something very realistic to me that could happen and that people would tune in. And that's why when the reporter that came to interview him, uh, to help boost his show, whatever, because she thought it was interesting, when she found out what was going on, she was like basically you know, uh, turned off by it, and told him that she thought he was repulsive and everything because he was basically making nothing but a big snuff film. And he's like, "Well, what, we're using criminals. They're all going to die anyways. So, and in a way, I kind of went along with it at the beginning until when he started doing the drops, the with the weapons and all that stuff, and making sure there were dropped close to these certain people to make sure that they were going to be bad guys and causing chaos to make it more exciting for the live viewers. So I thought all that was pretty, you know, realistic to me. You didn't think any of that stuff was realistic?
I don't know. I the logistics of how they deploy everything on the island was kind of interesting, and I would like to know exactly how they were doing that in '07. I think we'd be able to do it easier in 2022. But if you had unlimited FO money, like what this guy supposedly had, you could do it, because he did have some nice XFL camera wires set up, and I call it XFL because it's what exactly it looked like. They had XFL cameras they had mounted wires everywhere, and you could scroll these cameras all over the island and get a good zoom in shot until like somebody went into a bunker or a plane. But
Yeah.
it was really interesting as to how they were tracking everybody, and then they drop like a bottle of wine here, a knife over there, and you get the the guys, they're already starting to ally up and do things. Uh, I really liked the young black lady that she made sure she dusted off at least at least one guy, and I don't know if she dust. I don't know if she. No,
Yeah,
she got two.
she
She killed
killed
the
the
first
big
guy,
Russian, or the
the
big
big Russian.
Russian guy, and then the other black guy that was trying to smooze her
Yep.
later on. I thought
Yeah.
that one, I laughed at that. I mean, it sounds bad, but he's basically, trying to schmooze her and tell her a sob story and stuff. And by the time you hear the beep, beep
Yeah.
going off, and you're like, "Oh shit!" Someone's about to blow, but he's still talking. And then next thing you know, he sits up and he realizes she's nowhere around, and that's when the beeping gets faster and faster, and he just, it's nothing but dust left after the
I don't,
explosion, which I thought was pretty good. But I thought the action scenes were really good. There was lots of explosions and fighting and dirt and grime, and not knowing what was going to happen next. I thought all of that was really, really good. I thought it was very, to
I
me,
thought
it was very
I thought
interesting.
most of the movie was well done.
Huh?
And most of the movie was well done. When it came to hand to hand fighting, I got really, I tuned out, because once I started noticing all the shaky camera, and you've got plenty of jungle to step into and get a good wide shot, or you could hang a trolley or mount a crane somewhere and get a good wide shot while these two guys are duking it out against each other. And they didn't do that at
Mm-hmm.
all. They would concentrate like Italian horror cinema, get on the eyes while they're fighting, and they just like zoom in on the wrong spot of the body because they want to imitate Corky from Life Goes On, and it just fucking disappoints me every time that I watch a mid 2000s movie and there's a fight scene, and let's put in some shaky cam. That's what this movie's missing, is shaky cam. And I just, damn it, that's gonna affect my choice for next movie we watch.
That's fine. I
Uh,
mean, the thing is that it was a movie you had never seen,
no,
right? You
and
said you
I'd
never
never seen
seen
it
it
before.
before, and uh, I'm glad you got to see something that had Vinnie Jones in it, because I know you like him, and you hadn't seen it before, so I was really excited, and it's action. The thing is that I still believe that if you were to talk to the director and why they did that the way they did, uh, I think that that's what they were trying to do. They were trying to make it look like it was a handheld camera trying to get in there. Because remember, when the one guy sees the big guy coming in there and they're fighting, he's like,
Yes.
"Hey man, something's going on," and he goes, "What are you doing? Sleeping over there?" He says, "Get me a good shot," and he goes, "We don't have something over there," and he goes, "Well, get the live people or get the team down there or something like that. Give me a team." And that's when the next thing you know, it's like all jumpy and everything. So I'm thinking that's what they were trying to make it more realistic. Like they're struggling to try to get really good shots without being, in the center of the tension or whatever type thing. But, the thing is, it definitely wasn't editing. The editing didn't ruin those shots. This was
No.
definitely done by the way the cameraman utilized his camera, for sure. But that's what I took from it. I took it because all the scenes weren't like that. So I figured it was them trying to make it look more.
What happened to Janet? Okay, the ticker's still going. Janet, come back. All right. Well, it looks like the weather has possibly knocked out Janet. There she is.
I just went down. It might be the weather. It's like I said, I've got storms around me. So
Yeah. I'd like to say hello to our chat while we're catching our breath for a second. The Fat Gamer rolled in here, and I believe he's the first, aside from Janet, in the chat. And then we have a bunch of text for me trying to do tech readout stuff. Our friend Patriot Hobbies, who's a slot car and model train enthusiast, he's in here, or was. I think he still is. Then we have our advertisers. Thank you. And Six Nation 31 Kings. Hello, sir. The Fat Gamer. Hello, sir. Snortopupus Cuber is in. And Grumpy
Travis says he's naked in the tub.
Nice.
Well, I hope you enjoy the show while you're soaking.
Hey, Travis, how you doing, sir? Well,
that's why I wore in this name tag. I made me a little lanyard to be kind of like one of the techs that were in there working on making this whole giant show that he wanted to have. What was it? 20 million people tune in.
20 million people.
Like the Super Bowl. Yeah. So
we have
hey, I thought the concept was pretty good. How many people do you know that wouldn't tune in if they could see a bunch of terrorists or whatever going at it, taking each other out?
I'd watch it. I'm not
going to I would tune in, and I hate to admit that, but I would. I mean, the whole stuff about what was going on with the women and stuff, that's the one thing, and why my father always told me and my sisters he didn't believe it the military was a place for a woman, and that was my dad. Okay, because he had 5 daughters, and that's something that's going to happen if you're a woman and you're shot down or you're captured by the enemy. You're going to be prepared that that's probably what's going to happen to you. And same thing with the guys. because my dad said he knows lots of men were assaulted in that way, violated as
And
prisoners. And it's not just the women, that happens to women, but it also happens to men. So, it's just something that happens when you got bad people, in charge. And, that's a fact of war. Or,
and I'll just say that I've got plenty of friends that served in peacetime military ops for their enlistment period, and actually two officer chicks I know. But every
Mhm,
single woman I know, like, has confided and said, like, we were drinking one night and one of my fellows raped me.
mhm,
And, it was easier for them to just keep their mouth shut about it during their time in, and to not make waves, not cause a scene, not cause a lot of paperwork. And that sounds terrible, but, you know, like my friend Jessica, her oldest daughter, has told me quite a few times about when she was in, she was on the Vincennes, and she's like, there's quite a few times that, people tried, and one guy, he did manage to get to me. And the only reason why we had to go to captain's mess is that somebody heard me crying while that was all going on, and that was the entire thing. But other than that, she was willing to keep her head down, just because it's her nature just not to talk to or talk about that sort of thing until she kind of got herself changed or rehabbed a bit. But she came out, and she's a strong woman. She's very dedicated to the life she wants to lead. And she's like, I'm sure the Navy, the military isn't the only place where a lot of rapes happen from people, but
mhm,
it makes my stomach turn. But at the same time, there are a lot of girls that they see a lot of things, they don't see the bad stuff. And if you're not strong, if you're willing to do things and cause waves, you can have a career after that. But a lot of times people would do things, or they would cause a NJP or people to go in front of the captain because you were committing a felony, a huge crime.
mhm,
You don't do this to your fellow sailors and airmen and soldiers. And she's like, we saw that a lot of people get broomed out on reasons that were BS. So it was just easier for me to keep my head down about things. And when somebody discovered it was happening to me, I went and I testified, I witnessed, I gave them samples, and she's like, I'll have the trauma the rest of my life, but I would rather have not said anything or had to go in front of people. And I'm like, wow, that's,
mhm.
that's terrible.
Well, see, that's like my dad. When my dad was telling me about, things that he'd seen and heard that happened around him, that he just said he didn't think that it was a place for a woman. So he just told us no. Anytime one of us would say we're thinking about joining the military, just so we can go to college or whatever, because weren't, we weren't rich, and we'd have to pay our way by being in the service to get our education. And he said, hell no, he wouldn't let us do it. So he was adamant he didn't believe women should be in the military because of the risk of having to serve overseas, or there in certain places where he knew something bad could happen to you. And he was in the Air Force, and I've had friends in the Army and in the Marines, and they said that the Air Force is basically the luxury part of the military. So the Cadillac of the military, or whatever you want to call it.
Well, yeah,
So
you have home
we
cooked
just
meals.
never did. You know, and
Um,
I believed my dad. I mean, I really did, because I just couldn't picture my father telling me that, um, something like that, and it not be true. So I really did believe him. So I was adamant about doing something else, and that's why he was wanting us to, go to school and get some kind of something under our belt, so we'd be able to take care of ourselves. Because he plus he didn't want us to have to, you have a shotgun wedding or something like that, which none of us did, thank goodness. But he was adamant that he didn't want that to happen to any of us, because he wanted us to be able to fall in love and get married, and a traditional marriage by love, not because you're forced to, because you have a kid, or you just want to move out. I mean, I had friends that got married just because they just was sick and tired of living at home.
I have a
So
few friends like
they're not
that.
married anymore, but that's that kind of stuff happens, especially when you're a country people, or mountain people that are rural. A lot of people just want out of the grind that you have. But the characters in this, they had collected from all over the world, apparently. Guatemala, they talked about Guatemala and Russia and different prisons, or here and there where different people were at. And when they found Steve Austin's character in guess it was Guatemala in the prison, uh, he wouldn't tell them anything about who he was. So they made
I'm
up a
from
story.
Alaska.
Yeah, he said he was from Alaska, but they said they told everybody online that he was from Arkansas, a hillbilly that was in the KKK or whatever, and blew up a school for retarded children or whatever, and he killed a bunch of women, and he's just a
He's
total
a bad
scumbag
guy.
to make him sound like a terrible piece of crap, so that people would for him to die. And basically, that's what they were doing. So that when they did that to him, it made you think about the rest of the people. Like when they brought the Rosa and her husband on. Okay, yeah, they were in prison, but just because they said they did these things, now you are reluctant to believe all of it because they're lying about Steve Austin's character. Then why wouldn't they be lying about the other people? They could be doing anything they wanted just to get people to bet or root for a certain person when they didn't really want them to win. You know what I mean? And the fact that he was cheating by making sure Vinnie Jones's character was close to wherever the drops were. You know what I mean? And then at the end, when you hear Vinny talking about where's my money and all that kind of stuff, when we had an arrangement, then you have a sense that he talked to him before he was dropped off on the island with the rest of the convicts, basically, as one of the condemned, but had some kind of arrangement with him to know that they were going to be giving him special stuff. So there was, you had to watch the whole thing and then think about it. Uh, and like you said, to put things in between the lines, to be able to read things into it once you got the information for the different things that were going on. But I really thought the story was really good. I thought it was a very good concept, and the actors that they got to portray the characters, just like you said, like the young black woman at the very beginning, she was very believable. I mean, she was kick ass. She was gorgeous. And she was a believable character.
Yeah.
And we didn't know for sure exactly what she did. We just knew she was a badass. I mean, everyone that was on the island was a badass to some degree. The only one that really I could not grasp as being some type of something, I didn't know what, was the little Asian guy they had. To me, wasn't really much of anything. And I think that woman could have kicked his butt. And then he had Rosa. She was the only other character that I thought would, get her ass kicked. So I don't know what supposedly she did, or she definitely wasn't like upper body strength or anything
No.
like that. So her crime must have been done, through banks or
Association with
yeah,
Paco or whatever, Paco,
something.
whatever
But
his
it
name was.
wasn't because she was a badass like the other woman was.
Yeah.
So she definitely earned her part when she took out two of the guys, two badasses on her own. So I thought that was a really good role for her, and she did a really good job. And I don't know who she was, but she did good. I mean, she was very believable as the person she was. The scene on the beach where she's trying to run from him and she slips and falls, and the angles of the camera and stuff, and they were smooth. It wasn't bouncing around because you could see it when they would to do the other angles from the camera, and you go across and you could see the camera sliding along on the
On the
tether or
wire.
whatever.
Yeah.
So how they piece that type together to give you like the behind the scenes shots. I thought all of that was very intriguing and believable for what this whole movie was supposed to be showing us, and how the criminals used what they were told about the ankle bracelets um, against each other, that type of thing. I mean, I just thought it was really, really well uh, written, and I thought that the characters did a good job at making it seem believable. And when they had the explosions from the few that did pull out the little red strip, uh, to me, the special effects for those were really kick ass. I thought it was
Somebody did
great.
some really good work with the pyrotechnics with that plastique. I'll say that was definitely worth the money they spent on the pyro, because I was impressed out on the beach, and then later on when the guy detonated inside the plane, and we got that shot of that wonderful P-25 exploding. That was really good.
The
Um,
scene where Stone or Steve Austin beat the crap out of that guy, that huge giant mountain of a man, and he goes tumbling over the side and blows up halfway down as he's falling. That was pretty intense too. I thought that was, I mean, I think all the scenes where the explosions went off because of the ankle bracelets was just great. I mean, they were just, um, you were rooting, like, wanting to see somebody you blow up. you know, but it was real looking to me. It was very believable. I thought they did a really good job at the way that the reason why they blew up and the actual explosion itself, leading up to the explosion, all that I thought was very exciting and believable. I really
yeah,
did. I really liked all those parts.
uh,
And,
uh,
I wish that you didn't hate that one, those, those two scenes basically where the cameraman was like crawling around on the ground with a camera or whatever, because I think that you're letting those two parts basically take away from so much that was in the movie, because there was so much detail from behind the scenes, of what's going on when a film is being made. You basically have a tent, just like you saw, with all the people in there, and they have all these monitors in there, and you got different producers and different. You got the director, and then you got the director of photography, and then you have the second director that's for the other scenes that they filmed to fill in all the gaps, like from a distance shot and add it to make it look like use a stunt man and he's walking around or whatever, and they edit it all together. So you got the second crew. And they have tents like that, set up with the chairs, and you got the producers behind everybody so they can see what's on all the monitors. And then you have all the little PAs running around, productions assistants, that one waiting on this one waiting on that one's a script supervisor, and then you got the makeup person, and you got the props management. I mean, there's hundreds of people all running around doing stuff to cater to each different person's area. So you got all these people, surrounding people, helping each other do their jobs, and the big wigs, the ones who want to see what it's going to look like, are the ones that are watching the monitors to see if they like what they're seeing. So basically, I just like that. I thought the whole concept of how they showed you, the watcher, the person viewing it, um, how a production like that is put on. And basically, I thought they did a great job showing what goes on behind the scenes, the arguments and stuff, because the director's always right. It doesn't matter whether he's shit or not. Okay,
yeah,
if he says that I don't want that woman because she looks like my ex-wife, I want her out. The production assistants will go out and say, well, we're not going to use you in this scene, so you might as well go back to the tent or whatever, holding or wherever it is that she's, or makeup, or wherever they're going to send them. And that's what happens. And the director doesn't go and do it. Now, sometimes the director does. He might come out and says, you effing suck, and I want you off my set. He'll, depending on how pissed off they are. I've seen him do it to big wigs too. I mean, to very popular actors be told to go sit in their tent or their trailer or whatever is they're supposed to go to, and they'll talk to him later. that type of thing. So it depends on how pissed off the directors are. But I've seen that quite a few times. But the thing is that they did a great job to me of showing you, the people watching, what it's like behind the
Yeah.
scenes. And that's basically what they were doing. The thing that, they had to have the satellite dishes and all that. And they showed all that to show how they're going to send the signal out. So to me, they put all the little
Everything was
things
front and center.
together of how their production was going to be put out there. And you can do that. I mean, pretty much do any of that stuff now. You got Netflix, you got all these things that's all done with satellites and stuff. It won't be long. We won't even need cable anymore. So it's going to all be done on satellites, even on small dishes. You won't even have to have this giant dish on your roof. You just have a small one you can put on your window, or you can use it now. They're doing it right now through the internet. So it who knows where we'll be going in the future. But to me, the whole setup of the scene, the way they set it up, how they collected all the criminals that they were going to use in their show, on their online show, The Condemned, and it was gonna. All he wanted to do was just prove to all these companies that wouldn't work with him, basically, to do this reality series or show that he wanted to do, and he did it himself, and did it all on the internet instead of using any of the ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, whoever, the other networks. He said you didn't need the networks. He had the internet, and that's how he was going to do it. And that's what he did. He did do it. And he got to over 20 million people supposedly on his from his numbers. So he was going to make a lot of money. Somebody did. So what do you think about all that? How they were doing everything?
I cared more for the things going on in the tower than I cared for things going on in the island where the action was supposed to be.
Mhm.
After about the second act, I just kind of gave up trying to follow the fights, because I figure if I just look at who got paid the most, that's how it will sort out who lives the longest.
Yeah.
And
Oh, you talking about for actors wise?
for the actors, like
Yeah.
who got paid over $600,000 on this movie, that person, those people will be alive for the next feature, and the people that were in the tower didn't live. They the scene where Vinny just has fun and tests his diehard machine gun repeatedly on the staff. I thought that was it was kind of over the top, gratuitous. I can understand why they wrote it a certain way. I can understand why he acted that a certain way, and I cared more about those people than I cared about Austin and Jones and all the other 10 combatants on the island. One guy didn't even get to fight. I wonder if there was like somebody that pissed off the director. One of the actors pissed off the director, and they just decided to throw his corpse on a impaled spike, or make a dummy of it going on an impaled spike. Like, oh, 9 people.
Well, I didn't look at it that way. I thought it was very good. To me, it showed the casualties of doing things live. To me, that's what it showed. Because when you do things live, you can't stop birds, you can't stop dogs from barking, you can't stop motorcycles from driving by, or airplanes. There's tons of things that you cannot control. Unless you film out in the middle of the desert and there's nobody out there. But then you have to bring water and, shade and everything you need. So it's just, if you're going to film somewhere, you can't control every aspect of anything that goes around. You can't stop the weather. You can't, the wind, storms, rain, there's just so much you can't do anything about. But it happens, shit happens and you can't control it. So that is one of the things that I really liked about it, when they would throw these people down, out of the helicopter, and most of them had no idea what was going on. They really didn't seem to explain a lot, and I think they did that on purpose. But it was, to me, it was kind of comical though, like that he went out of the plane without any way of taking off his handcuffs and ankle bracelets or whatever, that type of thing. I thought that was kind of stupid for his character, somebody to supposedly be so smart, and survive so many different things that we didn't know about, at that time. But it still didn't, to me, it was too over the top, that one part. And then the fact that the little Asian guy gets thrown out just like everybody else, and he still keeps his nice aviator glasses,
Yeah.
just little things like that were a little over the top. But
There's the aviator glasses. Is that a foul up in editing? Because he jumps out, he's got the aviators on, and he bumps into Vinnie Jones, and Vinnie Jones is like, "Here, they look better on you." Did you see that?
yeah,
Like the editing, like we found an editing problem. Like they gave
well, no,
the
he lost his glasses
he
in that
lost.
one fight. Yeah, in that one fight, the little Asian guy lost his glasses. So the glasses that he got from the Vinnie Jones weren't his glasses. They were just another pair of glasses that he had. He had found off that other person he had taken them from. So, just it was just funny that the Asian guy, he gets out of the water and you see him put his glasses on and he's fixing his hair and shit. I mean, who's going to do that when you're on an island? You got to fight for your life, and these people are badasses. It's just like when the Suicide Squad, and you're seeing all these people, and you got Captain Boomerang, and you got, all these different badasses, and they're all standing around thinking about how their hair looks. Besides, Harley Quinn, she's supposed to do that because that's just her. She's crazy, she's nuts. But no one else was worried about it. It just seemed that one part just seemed kind of comical to me. They could have left that out, and it would have been a little bit better to make it more of a dramatic type show. But little things like that, it's not even really editing. It's more of the script supervisor or the prop people, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It mortally falls into that, because when it says on that they're sunglasses, it's the prop person that just goes and gets sunglasses out and brings it to them, and that type of thing. So I don't know. I wouldn't really put that on editing, really, because editing is more of how it's cut together, you know, um, and the music mixed with the scene that's going on, things like that. That's editing. Uh, that's taking something that's already been filmed and put it together to make it flow. See, that is a prop. That is more of a prop, or a let's say the screenplay. That's why you'll have things that say, when they give these awards out for screenplay or screenplay editing, blah blah blah. Which most people don't even watch unless you're interested in that stuff. But the thing is, if you have a screenplay and the screenplay is telling you that you're in a certain house or whatever, and it has this kind of wallpaper, or it has a musty smell, or all these different things that they're giving you details about, and then you have the prop person fix it up and it looks like a clean, nice, fancy house, and it doesn't set for that. But then the people that come in, they're all musty and disheveled looking. They don't fit the environment, that type of thing. That's what editing, screenplay, and a person that's supposed to make sure that the scene looks like what's supposed to be in the script, to match the characters with wherever they're supposed to be at and how they're supposed to act in it. So there's lots of different little jobs that if they don't do it properly, it stands out. People notice it, So I don't know. I don't think that was editing at all. I really do think it had to do with either props, or the script supervisor didn't make sure that certain area was taken care of properly, filled in right or something. So I don't know.
No, it wasn't bad. It was that there was some parts of the movie I really enjoyed. I enjoyed, like I said, the drama going on at the tower more than anything else, because
Mhm.
it felt like that was where they weren't trying to have the heart and soul of the movie happen, but because the actress Tori, the blonde haired lady that looked like
Yes.
a recent divorcee with her facial expression of RBF going on at 100%. She looked like she was having like an RBF moment throughout the entire film. There wasn't a single moment where she was like, you could tell she was there because she was paid to be there, but she wasn't there for, because she loved the people. There, she expresses her dissatisfaction, and everybody else like, nope, boss, we love you, boss. They're all trying to race to a zipper, and don't worry, boss, we're gonna swallow this one down real good.
Yeah.
And she's the entire time pretty much trying to be the soul of the movie, which it wasn't a bad fit. She starts having trouble when the lady Rosa starts getting a little bit of extra vitamin D from Vinny and the Japanese fella, and she's there trying to stop that. Like, you have to stop this, and no, we're not. This is what it is. We have no control over it. We let them have the run of the island,
Mm-hmm.
and she's the entire time she's trying to be that soul of the film, but trying to be the audience character. That's like, are you really going to have that happen live in front of millions of people? And he's like, uh-huh.
See, that's the part. That's the part. That whole concept right there is the part where I was talking about that I had a over a shadowing of wokeness. Okay, so
Yeah.
you have the reporter at the beginning that's telling them that she thinks that he's just despicable because he's basically making snuff, doing a snuff film live, over the internet, using other people's lives to make money off of why they die or whatever type of thing. But you also have the young girlfriend, okay, that's can't wait to see him be a huge director, producer, with lots of money, and she's got stars in her eyes, thinking this is going to be so cool. But you got to realize that they're naive. They're not naive about it, because these aren't people that have dealt with any kind of blockbuster. These are just a bunch of young techs, that are used to working and making productions, but nothing at this grand of a
level.
They're not this huge of a. They don't realize what a huge project this is going to end up being, and how many millions of people are going to be watching this, and what the aftermath will be. Okay, because just like I said many times before, is that a lot of these people that come to work, they're not, when you get a check off the movie deal, it's usually you get paid per day. Okay, so you'll get 7 checks if you work 7 days in a row. Okay, I know it sounds weird, but every day is a production in its own, and everybody's paid for that day. It doesn't matter if there's 500 people or there's 20. See what I mean? Every person is paid for whatever hours there are in your whatever 12-hour, 14-hour, 4 hours, or whatever it is that you're hired to work that day. You get 1 check, and then if you work 4 or 5 hours the next day, you get another check. So you get all these checks for your work. So each day, the people that pay all the bills, are rounded off per day. Each day they close their account, that it's paid for. It's done. It's a done deal for that day. So then they go to the next day and they start from scratch. It's like, that's why I think you got to have so many people involved, because it's if I don't know, I can't explain anything different than that, but that's how that goes. But the thing is that the people that were at the bar with the girlfriend, and she sees it after she gets the phone call, which I thought was kind of stupid in the first place too, was if it was really this person that was so important, okay, that he was sent there on a black ops thing, do you actually think they'd call on the telephone and talk to her, or send someone to her house? You see what I mean? So the fact that they called her on the phone, and then she immediately goes to her friends at a bar, and they turn it on and start watching it. And then the bar is getting fuller and fuller with more and more people viewing this horrendous, terrible crime, basically international crime that's being portrayed, and they're helping, by watching and tuning in or whatever. They're making money for these people,
Hey,
watching
Shadow.
people die, basically. So basically, like when the one reporter says that one scene, and she says, are we the ones that are condemned? When she brings that up, because we're willing to we
Pay the
gripe.
$50 and watch this.
Yeah, but we're willing to complain and gripe about how crime is so bad, and that guns are rampant, and that we got murder and rape, and we got all this stuff, and that they shouldn't be able to do these things because kids are watching these movies, and she's doing all this different stuff. Basically, what we all bitch and moan about, oh, we don't want R-rated movies for kids, and we don't want commercials that have groping and boobies and whatever else, that kids can flick through the TV and see all this stuff. But here we are paying to watch somebody kill each other live on the internet. See, that's basically what the whole thing was the concept of we're the problem, all of us, because each day that goes by that we just turn the other cheek, or just don't, we just say, oh, well, who gives a shit? I'm enjoying the show. Why not? So we're no better than the guy that's making the actual snuff film in the first place. I mean, if we're willing to pay the money and sit back and put our feet up and get popcorn and a drink and watch people murder each other, people get raped or whatever, but we paid for it, why are we any better than the guy that set the cameras up? See, that was what the whole basis of this whole story was the fact that we are complacent. We are the ones, and we're the reason why. Just
Yeah.
like I tell people all the time, they're going to keep making these shitty, terrible, horrible movies, ruining all of our superheroes, taking away all the things that we grew up watching and looked up to, because we keep buying tickets to see it. If you
Yeah.
keep paying them to write a check every single day to all these people to make another piece of crap,
If
they're
you
going to
guys
keep making
stop
this
buying
crap.
Disney Plus, there
Yeah.
might be a spot where they put some quality into the Star Wars name.
Mm-hmm.
But the moment that a new Star Wars series is announced, the internet explodes, and the simp market goes nuts because they want to have the newest accessibility to watch the legendary franchise hit another mountain with another Star Destroyer.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all this is. If people would just give up.
And here we are, though. We're in this situation. Why this movie came out in what, 2007, right?
Mhm.
Okay, all those years ago, they were already thinking about what we were letting happen. And then they start making commercials with, the same sex people kissing in a relationship for a commercial. And then, this, that, and the other, they're adding here and there, little bits here and there. And we're not making a stink, and we're still watching and buying that product. Okay. So they make more risque commercials, a little bit more, adding a little more skin, add a little of this or that or whatever, more hugging, more groping on the commercials for kids to see, that because we can't, I mean, you can just turn the TV off and not worry about it. But unless you're in the room every second or the kids watching TV, you don't really know what they're seeing or watching YouTube or kids YouTube. I mean, I've seen stuff come up on kids YouTube that I didn't think was very appropriate because, after it starts playing in ads and ads and ads and ads, and next thing you know, it's got stuff in there that, unless somebody's watching every single thing, stuff gets in there. I mean, just like I was saying about one time I'm staying in line and I'm going to see South Park, the movie. And South Park to me was a grown-up cartoon. It wasn't for 8-year-old kids. You know what I mean? I would never have let my 8-year-old watch South Park. I didn't think it was appropriate for children. So, but as a parent, I was, I paid attention. I didn't even let my kids watch MTV and some of the things on, just regular television because I thought it was inappropriate. But I was a parent that actually tried to make sure that my kids weren't watching things that were not age appropriate any more than I would let them go in and buy a pack of cigarettes or whatever. If kids are going to sneak around and do things, that's separate, because they're sneaking because they know mom and dad wouldn't approve of it. See, that's the difference. But I have seen parents sit and hand their kid, a 14-year-old, a cigarette and let them smoke, or a can of beer. That's not good parenting. And then we wonder why drag shows are okay for kids at the library. To me, it's not shocking, because each time that we go in and pay for money for this to make them make money off of shit that we know is shit, they're going to keep doing it, because they're till their wallet dries up. This is what we get. That's one of the things I liked about this movie. This showed us the future. This showed us where we were heading. If you looked at it that way, I'm very I look at movies and stuff differently than most people do. It's not always just pure entertainment. I always try to find out the story behind what's going on. Just like I was, when I got you to watch Lars and the Real Girl, I saw it in a totally different way, through a mental illness, and you didn't. You didn't see it the same way as I did. But that's the difference between people that sit side by side in a movie theater watching a movie. Everyone's going to see different things, and it's going to entertain in certain areas, and other areas it's just not going to. So, but that's the whole premise behind it to me. I thought it was a good story, because it did have a hero, a clear hero. You didn't know that right off the beginning, but when they added the government people in there and they explained to you that he was a retired Army Ranger type character that was now doing black ops every so often. And when he was able to talk to his girlfriend on the phone, and she's emotional and she's crying and everything, because she just wants him back, and he's trying to give her the numbers to his bank account so that she can have his money, because he doesn't think he's going to get out of it. See, and she's emotional and stuff. I got emotional. I could feel like what it would be like to never see someone again that you love. And, anyone that's lost somebody's going to have, the heartstrings tugged at in certain scenes like that. And I thought, that part was good. And I really thought that Steve Austin did a good job in this movie for this character. He was believable, for this part. So this part was a good part for him, compared to some of the other movies that I've seen him in, which I didn't think, he was just a big musclehead, basically, brute, and that's basically how to do. In this movie, he was actually a person. He had a persona, that he was able to fulfill, to be believable for a person he had something to live for. He didn't want to die on this island. It wasn't just simply the fact that he was a well-trained lethal weapon by the American government. Okay. It was the fact that he had something worth fighting for, to get to see his girlfriend and her two boys again, that type of thing. So, that's how I viewed his character. And Vinnie Jones was just another military guy from another country, apparently Australia. And he was trained just like everybody else, but he was a bad guy. I mean, he did things against humanity or whatever else, because he snapped. He's one of those people that use their skills to start terrorizing other people, not simply just for survival or to finish a mission. You know what I mean? So in a way, it was kind of, you knew they were going to have a heads up at the end, because both their names at top billing. You figure that most of the time. Now, sometimes they do kill off one of the top people for the story or whatever else, but you pretty much knew by having these two characters in this movie that they were going to be going at it. You know what I mean? As soon as you found out one was bad guy and one was a good guy, you knew that they were going to be the ones going toe to toe. somewhere. And I liked it because we got to see some of the total dickheads, get their up and comings, which is one thing. It's to me, if I when I get to see the bad guy get his ass kicked, I enjoy that. Even if the movie isn't a top notch, uh, 4 stars or whatever, the
Yeah.
bad guy gets what he deserves. It makes it kicks it up a few notches for me.
Okay. Um, I gotta ask,
Hmm.
with the way this movie ends, I haven't seen the movie, but I saw on IMDb there's a sequel to this starring Vinnie Jones.
Hmm. I haven't seen it.
Okay, because like the the acting Vinny did when he was getting riddled with a half mag of bullets looked pretty convincing.
Uh-huh.
He looked like he was getting punctured pretty well there,
Yeah.
and I was just kind of curious. Like, wait, he clearly gets ventilated at the end of this movie. Why are they trying to sell me see the sequel now? You watched the first, now see the
Uh,
second.
I don't think. I mean, I don't know. I'd have to see the trailer to see whether or not it's a sequel or if it's just like another movie that they picked him to be the lead in, based on the same concept of them fighting for their lives, for survival or something. You know what I
Um,
mean?
and the other thing, this movie, not quite a wholly original concept. Uh, the 19 is it 91 movie No Escape with Lance Hendrickson and Ray Liotta has a lot of similarities to it, and that was a fantastic movie. And then the movie that everybody remembers because it's recent is Battle Royale from 2001. That's a pretty violent Japanese film where these schoolgirls just tear into each other. The last one will win her prize. And then there was a
Yeah.
sequel to that in 2003. And up until like recently, there was a James Gunn movie in 2017 set in Colombia where all the Colombians were told not to go to the office today, and the people at the office had to fight. And it's something project. No, the Belko experiment. My bad. The Belko experiment was that one, and
Yeah.
that was not satisfying at all. So these type of movies, they have to really close and seal the deal in the third act, especially. They have to set up good characters in the first act, have believable action, and they have to really deliver the goods in the third act. This one here, the finale between the standoff between Austin and Vinnie Jones was well done. I'm not going to complain about the squibs or the blood or the way that Vinnie Jones acted whenever he was being shot damn near point blank by Steve Austin.
Hmm.
That looked really good. A lot of the action scenes before that, I kind of winced at. Uh, Whoever the director of photography or the cinematographer was, I hope they don't have a job again. But they've done movies that I actually liked, and they didn't use this miserable shaky cam technique that was only a style from
It
2000.
says the director was uh, Wiper.
Yeah,
Scott Wiper.
yeah,
I don't know what else this person made. So,
yeah. I don't know. I didn't click his name on IMDb, but there's a there's a few things that this movie does right, and those outweigh what this movie really does wrong. The movie is supposed to be an action film, and I didn't like 2/3 of the action. I hate that. But I'll say the drama that happens in the tower, but between all the cute little girls that they're thinking about dollar signs in their head, and the guy running the show and his little buddy Gordy, and then the Shaggy lookalike character, I like that drama that was there, and I like the fact that the reporter was throwing it at him like, we're the ones paying for this. We're the ones causing this. You understand that? These
Yeah.
people could be in prison and just serve their time. You have to monetize their death, and we're the animals that are willing to pay for it. We're the bad guy. It's like
Mhm.
the experiment that went on in the 1980s. Morton Downey Jr. He was a talk show host, and he had the most salacious and horrible TV show, but people tuned into it daily because you had so much over the top stuff going on there, and then it got kind of that caught fire, and then you have losers like Geraldo Rivera try to outdo him. He's like, well, I'll just have these skinheads on here, and he catches a chair in the face because he has poor planning. You know, he doesn't understand. Okay, plan B. What's plan B? Catch a chair with your face.
Yeah. There was
But
another guy. What was the name of that guy? He had white hair and he had all these
talking about the mayor of
crazy,
Cleveland,
crazy people on his show, and there was always fist fights. And I'm trying to remember. It wasn't Geraldo. It was someone else. I can't remember what his name is right
I know
now.
who you're talking about. Mid
But
2000s.
yeah, and he had a show for a long time,
He was the
and
mayor of Cleveland.
yeah, and he had tons of really crazy stuff on his show, that like you are the father, they did DNA tests.
Jerry
And
Springer.
yeah, Jerry Springer, and then there was a couple other ones that did it. But the thing is that is exactly, that's reality. That's reality TV, and they've come up with tons of things like that. With different crazy stunts, that's why shows like the Kardashians and you know, dumb shit like that is so popular. I mean, I'm just, I don't watch The Bachelor or The Bachelorette. Or now I watched a few seasons of Survivor, thinking it was going to be more like what I told people my dad did. My dad was a jungle survival instructor. You know how he taught pilots and stuff, how to survive, if they crash in the jungle, or if they crash in the desert, or in the Arctic or whatever, how to, if they actually lived, how to fix their leg or whatever injuries they might have, and to be able to survive long enough for them to
Get
come
rescued.
and get them, pick them up
Hopefully, give them
wherever they
something to
were.
stay alive for the ship to get off the coast. Send a
Mhm.
helicopter inland and find you.
But yeah, because they suppose we had beacons or whatever, this type of stuff. But the thing is, when I watched it, I was like, okay, this isn't what I expected it to be. But it wasn't so bad. But it got lamer and lamer each year that they did it. So I just
I'm a terrible person. I had a aunt. I'm just going to give you a brief synopsis of this, and it should surprise nobody. But I had an ant farm, and I let them get in there for a season, and I had probably 300, 400 ants in this ant farm.
Mhm.
It was wooden, and we had to get rid of it after like the third season because the ants were chewing through the frame and making it to where it wasn't much of an ant farm. It was more of an ant spillage with two panes of glass. But the second
Yeah.
season, I introduced praying mantises and grasshoppers to the ant farm, and the ants that I had, some of them fell victim to the praying mantis until they mustered. And when you see 70 different ants pile onto a praying mantis, the praying mantis doesn't have a chance. And they did really good with getting rid of that praying mantis.
Hmm.
With the crickets and grasshoppers, they would last maybe a half hour, and then the ants would just sniff them out and go get them.
Yeah.
And I mean, I like doing things like that. I was bored. I didn't have National Geographic to keep me company, so I did things like that.
So you
And
had your own reality series right in your bedroom.
yeah, exactly. Then we had to move the ant farm to the garage because it
You
was
had your
starting to
own
break.
wild, what was the name of that show? Wild Kingdom.
Love
Yeah,
Kingdom.
that's it. Yeah, Wild Kingdom in your room.
And then when I was growing up, I had terriers, and I discovered that terriers love to chase and kill rodents. Well, I live in a small Illinois town. Anybody here from the Midwest? Raise your hands. All right. What's in these small Illinois towns in Midwest? Corn. It's what mice love to eat. And so if you were bored, you took your dogs out on a walk down by the grain elevator, and then you just kind of let the dogs off the leash and let them just go and have fun. And you watch your favorite dog, your favorite flea biter, go and he'll grab a hold of a mouse or a rat and he'll shake it to death in about maybe 5 seconds or less. They'll fling
Mhm.
it. Arnold was good at flinging rats. He was good at that. He was only about maybe 14 pounds or 13 pounds. Franco was a tank. He was 20 pounds as an Australian Terrier, and little ankle biters. Uh,
Mhm.
Tommy's guinea pigs are bigger than these dogs. And they would grab a hold of these huge rats and just shake him to death. And towards the end of the afternoon, Arnold would get tired. And so Franco and him would grab a hold of a rat, one at each end, and they'd just tear it apart. So I really enjoyed that. I didn't have to do much to be entertained when I was growing up, and you could make money if you had dogs that were good ratters. We
Yeah.
made we made about $300 a month extra, and you could you could make extra money just by going to grain elevators with your dogs, which was nice. And so, yeah, Travis is saying you can commit rape and murder
Well,
number two.
yeah, when I read that, I was just gonna say that, you know, if you after watching this, I really did think about a lot of things that's been going on right now in society.
Mhm.
And if you think about it, there's a what was it, a movie that called The Purge that came out, or was it a TV show?
It's a lot of movies.
Okay, well,
There's a lot of
when
movies
I
in the first
saw,
series.
I think it was the movie that I saw, The Purge. Um, I didn't think it was really good because to me it was more of a B rate. It wasn't like, really, really well made, but the concept behind it was something that I could see some governments doing just to
Mhm.
clean house a little bit, like you know what I mean? I mean, if you think about it, you got all these families who's been hurt because let's say they had a son-in-law that beat their daughter to death, or you got a drunk driver that ran over your kid and killed it, right? And you know who it is because you went to court, right? So
Yeah.
at this one time in the year, these people are planning all year how they're going to kill this person to get revenge for what these people did. So I can see why some people might say one day a year, there's no crime. I mean, you can do it. There's no such thing as no arrest or anything. Go and do whatever it is you want. Now, the thing that I wouldn't, the thing is, like he was saying, rape and murder would be fine. But the thing is, that's the sad fact is if you want to be able to get revenge for someone who murdered your loved one, okay, then you're going to have the same people that are the murderers that murdered your loved one are going to be out trying to do rapes and uh, child molestation or whatever it is they want because they know they can. And then you're going to have everything looted and burned. I mean, people are going to be out doing, oh, I can't even. If you see these people wearing these a grown man wearing the diaper and the little frilly underwear with a bib and everything out in public, and he's sucking his thumb, okay, and he's got a leash around his neck, and this woman's walking him around, or another man's walking him around, and then you got these furries. Guys dressed in furry outfits and they got butt plugs with tails on them, I mean, we got some real psychos out there. Just think about it. Those people being able to come out of their woodwork and do all the deviant, horrid, disgusting, uh, repulsive things and be able to do it in public anytime, once a year. I mean, I wouldn't want to be out there. I'd want to have, and only the richest people would be able to afford to have the, steel doors and the magnet locks and, all this different stuff to protect yourself from it. And anyone with anything would be the targets. See, once a year, you'd have to take a vacation and maybe come home and you wouldn't have a house because they came in and burned your house down or whatever. But that would be really scary. But, honestly, I could see that happening. I mean,
I
the way
could
things
too.
are going. The way
It,
things are going, I could see it. I could visualize something like that being able to be laid out and say, well, it's a free for all, whatever they want to call it.
I'm
In
just
the movies
I'm
like what were the movies that were the three movies they made? and the Hunger Games, you know, the whole premise of that. Same type of free-for-all type thing. Somebody said something, I said something, but I don't know what it was I said.
Papa Cotton said that was the sexiest thing you've ever said.
Which
Sexiest.
thing? I said a lot of things.
For those of you that don't mind a rough and tumble, if you see like a conservative street assembly going on in your local area, if you get there towards the last third of it, you can almost be guaranteed some stress relief in the form of you're going to have a fight, because that's when the roaches come out towards the end of it all, and then towards nightfall when you have to deal with the roaches. That's what's happened. It seems like every time there's the conservatives get out there in March. So, go there and go prepared. And you understand when I say go prepared. So I'm just saying that, you're probably going to be imprisoned if you go there and do something, especially if it's in DC, because the Metro DC police are pieces of shit. And what I wouldn't give is see a Putin created or Putin fabricated tidal wave smash all of Delaware and wash up DC and let it all drain back into Potomac. And you just see a bunch of shitty suits floating out to sea, waterlogged and bloated bodies. Looks like, Fukushima all over again. But then, no, it's the East Coast America. It's the shithole, the Washington, D.C. No more lobbyists, no more shitty embedded politicians. The puppets, the puppeteers that are pulling our current resident around. Just see them all get tanked out and, past the third sandbar, and maybe there'll be some benevolent great white sharks that don't mind a little bit of carrion food that's a little bit waterlogged. It'd be great.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm praying for. I absolutely cannot stand communists, and I would love to see it happen.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Every person that's gone through anything traumatic in their life could visualize us being able to do, have a day or to get revenge. I mean, everyone feels that there's something that they would get revenge on. Now, mine wouldn't be murder. I wouldn't, I don't have the feeling that I'd want to murder one, because I don't feel like anybody's done anything bad enough to me or someone I care about to go and, torture them or murder them or something like that. But that doesn't mean that other people haven't. And if it was the law to be able to do it, then, I believe in the death penalty for people that are convicted of it. If a jury convicts you and they have DNA and whatever else they have to convict someone, then, that I believe in it, if that's the way your state is set up or whatever. But what really crushes me is like this whole thing, like the Golden State Killer. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
They caught him by using the DNA from a family tree, and they were able to narrow it down to like 3 different people in that family. And they just staked them out and were able to collect DNA from them, just doing random things or whatever. And then that's when they matched the DNA, and they said, well, and then they started going to the timelines and figuring out that person was available for all these murders, and they went and arrested the person. But California doesn't have the death penalty, so it doesn't matter if this guy killed 40-something people, young kids and young girls and husbands and wives, and tortured them in horrible ways. It doesn't matter what he did to them, because he knows that he's never going to be murdered for it. No. And to me, that's sad, because in a way, I think that the people whose family was murdered, their family loved ones, they should be able to have a committee and come up with the way they want to kill that person once they've been convicted. I mean, I think that's a good way to
process,
set it up to where the family chooses how he's put to death, whether they want to have him hanged or electrocuted or have his head chopped off or whatever. I think that is, to me, is a humane way of doing it, especially if they've already gone through the process of proving that person did it.
Yeah, if they went through the process of discovery and found everything was correct, that'd be great.
I mean, the people that committed the murders, once they, like the Green River Killer, 47 people that they know of, that they have evidence for, that he killed. And and he was a wimp. I mean, as soon as, just like BTK, he acted all macho, he acted all, all this stuff. But when it was time, and they said, well, if you tell us where the bodies are and who you all killed and everything, then we won't kill you. And they're like, crying like little babies and giving over all the evidence, because now they don't want to die any more than the people they killed.
Nope.
And they're just big wusses. They all end up being big wusses. So I just would just cover them with honey and let ants take care of it for us. It's like what your ant farm or whatever. That wouldn't be too bad. But it to me, they have more rights than the victims. At least the way the government's set up, the criminals have more rights than we do. I mean, they can shove you out of the way while you're in line at Walgreens or whatever and steal $900 of stuff and walk out, and you still standing there to pay for your shit.
To take home for that $49 worth of ED pills.
We're pathetic, because we aren't criminals, and because we pay our taxes and we get up and we go to work and we do it tomorrow and we do it the next day and the day after that, we're the pathetic ones. We're the ones that have no rights. We're just like beep beep pop. We're the sheeple,
Yeah,
that's us. And
it's
sad. It's sad. The sheeple want revenge. It's time for us to fight and get rid of all those wolves. I don't know. I wish I could figure out a way to do it. I mean, I really do. I wish there was a way that we could all come together and say, all right, it's our turn. We're gonna make sure that the bad guys pay for what they've done. But I don't know how we're gonna do that to make it to where
unite off of ham radio. The internet will be shut down if that ever happens.
Yeah,
they'll silence the web. They'll make it to where we can't communicate with this. You have to be with a ham radio operator.
Yeah, or those things that you crank, so you could talk on it for a certain amount of time. Whatever. I mean, we got to do something. I don't know what, but I'm all in. Whoever comes up with some ways to take care of this stuff, I'm ready.
Shannon, I gotta be out for about 3 minutes. I see that Chinese is here. Be right back.
Oh, your takeouts arrived?
Finally.
Well, okay. I don't know if anybody in the chat saw this movie or not, but I think it's a really good movie. If you like action, if you like explosions, and you like to see, the good guy win or whatever type of thing, this is a good movie for you to watch. I think Bruce was let down a little bit because he wasn't happy with some of the ways that some of the scenes were filmed. But if you can get past a couple little B-rate angles, camera angles, and things like that, I think you'd enjoy it. I think it's really good. I mean, I was really impressed with Steve Austin's acting in this movie, because all the other movies I'd seen him in, he really didn't act. He just was like this big meathead, basically, walking around with huge muscles, and he looked like he could pinch your head off, just like that. But this movie, he actually shows that he can act, that he can be a believable character. And I'm impressed with it. I really think he did a good job. And now everyone, I think, in the chat already knows the kind of person that Vinnie Jones is. So Vinnie Jones doesn't disappoint. He's definitely his Vinnie Jones character type of person in this movie, and he does really good at it. And he's a person you want to hate. I mean, in this movie, you just want to see him get his up and comings, and he does. If you haven't seen it, I don't want to give it away, every detail of it, but it's got some really good explosions, good pyrotechnic stuff going off. It's just got a lot of oomph in it, I think. Is a tiny bit of romance, but it's not so over the top that it's going to make you go, oh, I don't want to watch it because it's just too gooey or whatever. But I think the story's good. I think it's believable if you're into how things are done live on the internet, and behind the scenes kind of view of what it would take to do a huge live stream. to try to get millions of people to show up and watch, basically a live snuff film. But if you're interested in that, I think that you'd enjoy this movie. And I mean, I don't know what else to tell you about it, but I thought it was really good. So hopefully, Bruce is getting his food and he'll be back in a minute. But I loved it. I thought it was a great movie, and I'm sure I'll watch it again. I've only watched it like 4 times, but I thought it was very entertaining. And you have to be in the right mood, I guess, to watch this when you're a woman. As women, we tend to like comedies, and I guess romance is good. I'm not really into a lot of romantic movies. I mean, if it's I don't know, the right acting, the right actor in it, then I might tune into it. Like Magic Mike, that was a really good movie, and I was glad I watched it. It wasn't something I normally would watch, but my girlfriend said you need to see it, and I'm glad I did watch it. But this
That,
is a movie
that
that my girlfriends wouldn't want to watch, but
we
I've
need to
gotten a
we
few
need
of
to
them to
do a
watch the movie,
discussion.
and it's good. Do what?
We need to do a discussion on Magic Mike and Magic Mike XXL.
Oh,
At some point, we will need to do
yeah,
that
I would do
because
it.
no, and I'd be happy to do it because that movie series. If a woman wants to know how a guy thinks, guys, don't be thinking about all the dudes with their fucking erectile dysfunction pills 3 hours before they film, popping them and then having big schlongs on scene. That's really not what the movie's about.
Uh-uh.
That's just the cake to get your wife to go watch a movie that explains you bitching and saying, God damn it, I don't want to have to do this shitty job just so I can have fun with my life.
Mhm.
That's that movie. The entire movie is these guys between gigs bitching about things and having to work out and having to look good, and then they don't get to do their hobbies. They don't get to do the things they love with the people they enjoy.
Yeah,
They're
and their
in a
their
fucking
backs are
circus bus.
hurting, their knees are hurting because they're, getting older, and even though they still look really good, doing all the moves and stuff like that is really hard. You know what I mean?
I imagine.
So, that was good about it. But plus, another good movie about stripping and stuff for guys, which women love, is The Full Monty, and it's a good movie. It's a well-made, good movie, I thought, and a lot of my guy friends thought it was a really good movie too. So it was a macho point of view of being a stripper. And these were normal guys. These weren't guys that I adored it. And I think the one guy that ended up being the chubby guy, the one that was kind of chubby, and they made fun of him because he had a dad bod or whatever, and all the women loved it. They thought it was great. It isn't, just like I try to tell people, it isn't always uh the buff, or the big boobs, or the whatever. It's the way that you portray yourself. If you are confident in yourself, for some reason, it may not be attractive to everyone, but more women are attracted. I know friends of mine were attracted to men that are confident, that uh, they're a great fisherman, or they're a good hunter, or they are good at woodworking or something like that. Everyone's good at something. And if your pride that you have when you're talking about your job, or something you did over the weekend, or something you built, or something like that, it's appealing to women. We like to hear stories, because to me, years and years ago, before we had normal societies, you had the guys standing around, the hunters and the warriors, talking about their conquests, that they got this buffalo, or they took down these wolves, or whatever it was, and the women would listen to the stories that the men would tell, and that show their manliness, that they're able to conquer something or do something. It's basically the same thing, and it's evolved because now we don't have to go out in the woods and climb around and grunt, to to get our food or whatever. Now you can go to the grocery store and get it, and then you can say, "Hey, look, honey, I brought home steaks." And you're going to put them on the grill, and the wife goes in and she makes, or the girlfriend, and she makes corn on the cob and baked potatoes, or beans, and makes a coleslaw or whatever to go with the steak that the man's going to cook on the grill. So you're cooking together, but you're taking care of the manly part, which is the meat, the substance type of thing. So I don't know. I just think that the sexiest thing is to be confident in yourself and to have pride in a few things that you do, but not overly proud. Like, I mean, I think it's a big turnoff when you got people that walk around just saying how awesome they are all the time, or wow, I did this and I'm the best that there ever was, that type of thing, because nobody's perfect. And anyone that acts like they're perfect is the person I turn around and walk away from because that's the safest thing to do. But that's just the way I am.
That happens. There's a lot of people I know that they overinflate what they're doing or what they're engaged with, and it's if you're super wise, the ability to remain silent and just nod your head, oh, that's nice. That goes so far in this world. People think you're such a nice person. You could be thinking all sorts of different ways to put that person that's being a narcissist and shove them into a wood chipper.
Yeah, but
Just
there's tons of them. I mean, it's like everywhere you go, if you're on any, and it's really bad is that when you're on all these social media apps, it's even more prevalent. It's
oh,
not like you just see
your newest
part.
stalker had me rolling. I'm telling you,
The what?
your newest stalker,
Oh my
Tony.
gosh.
Oh my God, this is some rich shit. Like
I know, it's like every time I turn around, I got, oh well, here we go again. But what am I supposed to do? You can only delete and block, and because they just make new accounts.
yeah.
So,
I mean,
if I
I
don't
would go
feel
for
like it's
public
gonna
shaming.
show up at my door or something, I guess I'll just have to just let them be that way. I mean, I don't know what else to do.
They show up at the door uninvited. What? I have no idea why you smell gasoline and why is there a raging bonfire over there? All the pigs and vultures are waiting for it to die down so they can get a morsel.
Oh, I know it's terrible, but oh well, that's just something. You'll get one day. You'll have a stalker or
Uh,
something. It'll happen.
um,
I think it happens to everybody at least once.
I can't recommend this movie on faith on good faith. I can recommend parts of the movie,
Mhm.
like the dealings inside the shack from various individuals. I like the way that the bodies that they did the C4 explosions. The plastique was
Yeah, I
over
thought
the
that
top
was excellent.
effective.
I mean, I thought that still, um, the filming of it and stuff would still stand up today in today's movie. If they made a movie with that type of explosion, the way it evaporated, pretty much blew. There wasn't much left.
It reminded me watching these people explode. It reminded me of when the blue whale made it onto the beach in like 74.
Yeah, I
The
remember
United
that
States Army
on the
had to
news.
figure out how many tons of explosive to wire to the whale, and they did a very good job. I mean, there was like parts of the whale that were coming down for minutes. That one car got demoed completely because it hit the top of the car. The hard top did not survive that bit of whale intestine that hit it.
Yeah, it's pretty messy too when you do it that way. It's pretty
so
gross.
so they did a good job with the explosions and with the Gibbs. I thought that was fantastic. The movie, the fight scenes, like shaky cam. I'm happy it's gone. There was a movie that came out in 19 called Extraction with Chris Hemsworth that
Mhm.
seemed to have been the start of a new period of American cinema really embracing a steady cam that does good during the fight scenes. They don't jar it, they don't beat it up too much. The viewer is relatively not having to get neck strained trying to figure out what's going on. And this movie here is as guilty as the movie called Death Race with Jason Statham.
Mm-hmm.
There's a whole host of movies that Jason Statham did where they use shaky cam for the fight scenes, and you can hear me complain about each and every one of them at some point.
Yeah.
Uh, they I don't know if it's because Jason Statham can't fight or what, but he uh, he just he attracts that type of cinematographer, I guess. I don't know, but I really this is that period of film that I'm really not excited about. There's other movies from this time frame that don't do shaky cam that do have good melees, and 5 years after this movie was released, we got The Raid, which was The Raid Redemption here in the States. It's an Indonesian movie that me and Janet reviewed in our first
Mm-hmm.
2 months of doing this.
I love that movie. I still love that movie.
Yeah.
Very good movie. I love the acting. I just loved a lot of aspects of that.
There's a sequel to it,
Mm-hmm.
and that's our homework assignment for next week. I guess you'll have to party with me sometime during the weekend, and we'll have to have a stream party in Discord or something.
Oh,
So you
is that the movie you're going to pick for next week?
it is because I need to cleanse my palate of shaky cam.
Okay, that's fine.
That shaky cam, like I was gonna recommend True Romance, 1992 classic film,
Mm-hmm.
and that's got some great scenes in it. Actually, no, cancel that. We'll do the Raid part 2 next time. We'll do True Romance for next week
Okay.
because True Romance from 1992, directed by one of the Bruckheimers, and it was written by Quentin Tarantino. And any actor that was worth his salt ended up in this movie in the 90s.
Um, it sounds familiar, but I mean, I'd have
Christopher
to see that.
Walken,
I'm still gonna
Vic,
have to have the
Victor
trailer to
Argo.
see if I've seen it.
You have Vic Argo in it, one of my
Mm-hmm.
all-time great mafia men.
Mm-hmm.
You have Patricia Arquette when she wasn't such an outlandish and woman struggling to keep a hold of her relevance. She was young and pretty, and she's still
Well,
pretty.
we all have to get older.
Yes,
We're all gonna age. There's nothing we can do about it.
she's very pretty, but she's just like seriously, she's trying to outdo Counselor Deanna Troy on the stupid thing said this week. Those two are having a competition, just like George Takei and William Shatner were,
Mm-hmm.
and the crazy from Pat Arquette now is really bad. I think she needs to go get some of that Nicolas Cage again, be back on the normal because he has all the crazy. Um,
Yeah.
but you have the guy from Broken Arrow, not John Travolta, the little skinny kid, and he was in Talk Radio as well. No,
Mm-hmm.
but he's in it as a main character. Patricia Arquette's a love interest. You have Sam Jackson and Gary Oldman are in the same scene together.
Oh, I love man. It's got some good actors in it. I wonder if
Val
we've seen
Kilmer
it before.
is in this movie. Christian Slater. Thank you, Travis. Christian Slater is the
Slater.
main character. And it
Mm-hmm.
starts off this is a dream movie that you would have in the 1990s because you have a comic book employee whose boss buys him a hooker for his birthday and sends the hooker out to the theater to bump into him. And the kid is watching Sonny Chiba movies, which, if you know anything about bad martial arts movies, Sonny Chiba is at the top of the heap. True Romance is probably the best thing Quentin Tarantino has ever done. Papa Cotton says Patricia Arquette's best work was in the movie Little Nicky, which I have yet to see, but we'll see that soon. And Six Nations, 31 Kings comes up with the ratio. Yes, the ratio was 1,000 pounds of TNT for a 8-ton whale. That's 1 pound of TNT per 16 pounds of whale. And that is
Wow.
how they detonated the well. Amazing work. Yeah, True Romance is what we'll watch because this is
I
that's a
thought
movie that's been on
Patricia
my radar for a
Arquette.
while.
did a
What?
great job in the movie Stigmata.
Oh yes.
I thought that was a really, really well-made movie for what type of movie it was, for the story and everything. The sexual attraction between the priest uh, and the victim and stuff. Uh, he was a good-looking priest too. I can't remember the name of the guy right now, but that was a really good movie, and she did an excellent job in it. I thought. If
Yeah,
I mean,
Sony
I'm not
Chiba just died too.
do what?
The chat's blown up about Sony Chiba, and he was a great martial artist. He was not a good actor, but he was a great martial artist, and
Mhm.
he made a lot of slickly produced late '70s kung fu movies.
Oh, that's another thing I wanted to ask. The actor Jeremy Renner, you heard about him, right?
Yes, he got life flighted. I heard.
Yeah, and because he was using a snowplow on his property or whatever, or around the town that he owns his ranch near his ranch,
Huh.
because he does a lot of things like that to help out with the little town. Because he even owns a fire truck for the rural fire department that he purchased, and he was doing something with a snowplow and he got hurt. So,
Well,
has anybody
apparently,
heard anything?
I'm reading the Daily Beast right now, which is
Yeah.
I'm reading the Daily Beast, which is not my favorite website, but they updated this an hour ago. They said he's in critical but stable condition on Monday after a snowplow he was using to dig out his family ran over one of his legs. Uh, he was airlifted to a local hospital on Sunday after one of his neighbors, a doctor, put on a tourniquet around the leg to stop the bleeding, according to TMZ.
Mhm.
It took place in Washoe County, Nevada, where he has a home. He had undergone 2 surgeries to address the extensive injuries. He'll probably never do a physical role, not for at least 3 years, maybe never again.
Yeah.
One of the snowboard shops, they were doing landscaping there. He did not witness the accident, but he saw the helicopter evacuate Renner. It's a small enough town to where, like, if something's going on, you look out your kitchen window and you can see what's going on.
Yeah.
Uh, that was a traumatic injury, the sheriff from Washoe County says, on the Mount Rose Highway area in Reno, Nevada, and coordinated with other agencies to arrange for the flight to the hospital. He was the only individual involved with the accident. Another one of the neighbors told Daily Beast that she and her family are keeping him in thoughts and prayers, but declined to comment further on the accident. The publicist released a statement on behalf of the family in which they expressed their gratitude to incredible doctors and nurses that are taking care of him, considering 2 surgeries have been done in the last 24 hours. Truckee Meadows Fire and Rescue, Washoe County Sheriff, Reno City Mayor Hillary Sheave, and the Carano and Murdoch families have helped quite a bit. They're tremendously overwhelmed and appreciative of the outpouring of love and support from his fans. The 51-year-old has a home in Lake Tahoe, which was walloped by a monster New Year's Eve storm, and he frequently posts on social media about his rugged life in that area. 5 weeks ago, it showed him doing donuts in the snow in a Jeep. And then he had another picture uploaded of his vehicle buried under deep snow. This is what happens when you move to areas that are susceptible to winter.
Mhm.
And according to numerous townsfolk in this article, that says Mr. Renner is super nice but maintains a low profile in the area. I'm not too sure that many people would even know he lives here. That comes as a shock to a lot of people whenever they mention that to them. And I'll put the link for this in chat.
Okay, good. Yeah, see, but a lot of people don't realize how a lot of the actors just want to have a normal life. They want to be able to go home and go grocery shopping and, just watch TV, mow their yard, do normal things that just because they're really popular in movies and stuff doesn't mean they don't want to just be normal. I mean, some of them want the flashy lifestyle, I guess, and you know, people oohing and awing over them all the time, but there's other ones that don't. They just want to be able to, have a relationship and raise their kids and have a normal life and not worrying about somebody jumping out from a corner or crack or whatever, to cost them or cut their hair or scratch them or who knows, just it's scary sometimes that you can't go anywhere without worrying that somebody might try to hurt you or whatever, you know? And I think it's wonderful the way he's tried to live his life. And it's sad that he got hurt trying to do something, for himself, to be able to dig out so that they can get to town or whatever. And hopefully he does recoup. I hope he does. It's Hawkeye.
Yeah. Also, some people here won't agree with what I'm about to say, but there was a character in the Geeks and Gamers family that passed, I believe, Friday. Uche, the man from Sports Wars, who he kind of took the side of Zack Snyder during the entire debacle when Geeks and Gamers was accused on live stream of being a hate group.
Mm-hmm.
Uche didn't really seem to do us any favors, and I never really appreciated his commentary he brought to the table. I always equated him as, well, every shitty organization needs to have a John McCain somewhere in it, and that was how I viewed him. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
agree with about 98% of the things that fell out of his mouth. He played for the Jaguars for 7 years, and oddly enough, he died suddenly. He died suddenly on Friday. Heart issue. We don't want to say what it was for certain, but there's a certain country that has a lot of manufacturing jobs they stole from us during the Clinton administration that should be glowing right now, and it's not. It has a funny little city in it called Wuhan. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a warmonger, but I'm just saying, I had COVID for a minute, and I really hope you die. I I don't like you at all, CCP. You can choke on a big fat veiny hairy Italian cock. Get all the hair in your mouth, and just for the next 6 minutes, just I want to hear little Chinese people go for like 20 minutes trying to cough up hairballs from my penis because I'm so pissed off I still had that shit. But
Yeah.
I really don't like the CCP, and I'm laying the altar of blame on them
Mm-hmm.
because Uche was not exactly a pillar of health anymore. When you are retired, you don't really work out, for 6 hours a day. You're not in training anymore. You might do some push-ups or sit-ups, or you might do some things that cause you funny feelings, like I bent over the wrong way, or I sneezed wrong when I was laying in bed and I hurt myself.
Yeah.
And things happen when you're retired like that. And Uche just died on Friday. Now, like I said, I had no great name. I've I had no great love for this man or respect, but he did do some good work for the Jaguars, and he did have an employment status with Geeks and Gamers. But I don't. That doesn't mean I bow down to the work or the words he had, and I don't. But I do feel that I'm saying prayers for his family in this rough time, and I hope that they can find some solace somewhere. I'm sorry he's no longer there to argue with the members of Geeks and Gamers, and
Well, it's
that
sad.
that seems to be the thing that was said by Ryan Cannell in the video I watched shortly before we started to go live. Cannell said you couldn't really have a conversation with him without having a variance. That's really not good employment material. But if you want to waste your money like that, go ahead. I mean, that's just me. I would find a different athlete, like some middle school kid would probably be better. Probably be better. Hey kid, can you dribble basketball? Do you like Spider Man? Get on here. Yeah, Papa Cotton. He passed on Friday, and he died suddenly, and it's a shame. But I'm not losing a lot of sleep for it. I do hope his family is eased. I hope some grace happens to come by them. I hope that whatever he had plans for, I hope that those plans are brought to full fruition.
Yeah.
Whatever benefits the insurance company, whatever good things can happen to his family, I hope that happens. I wasn't expecting him to pass at the age of 38, and this when I talk to people about my own experience and how it's messed me up, and then how it's messed other people up, and then other people are getting this experimental jab done. You know,
He was
uh,
38 years old.
yeah,
And he was retired from football?
7 years. 7 years in the Jags.
Yeah, because I was gonna say, I thought he was young when I saw
Yeah.
him on the show with, the Mr. Snyder was on there, and they were doing the auction and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
And
watched that whole thing.
Snyder was bitching about the Geeks and Gamers logo on there, and I'm like, I'm done. I was ready to spend money here, but you've obviously got all that you need. Fuck you,
Yeah,
Snyder. And
yeah, I was a little, I watched the whole thing just to support Geeks and Gamers anyways,
yeah,
but, I was saddened by a lot of the rhetoric that was going on during the show, and I didn't purchase anything because of it, you know what I mean?
yeah,
It didn't make me wanna spend my money, but I still stayed logged in and stuff like that because I was trying to support them,
yes.
but
I do like
it
Jeremy. I do
it
like
was sad.
Jeremy.
It's still sad that he died. I mean, um, I want people to wake up and open their eyes to start paying more attention to things, but I don't want families to lose their loved ones because, you know, choices they made in their life. It's still sad to me. I still have remorse for that. But
Um, if you have a varying opinion of mine from mine, this isn't an echo chamber. You don't have to agree with me on things.
yeah,
Uh, I just, I didn't
we've
value.
disagreed many times and I'm still alive.
Yeah,
So I guess that's good.
yeah. It's just a shame that that happened, and I really hope that whatever he had set up for his family, I hope that they don't delay. They get that to them right away. If there's like
Mhm.
needs that need to be addressed, like bills, I hope
Yeah.
they get them all. I hope they get them all knocked down. I hope the kids got enough for college and getting themselves set up for a bit. I just I disagree with people whenever they say things. I'm going to try this really bad idea, and then the entire nation goes along. And we were talking in the chat earlier, like it's kind of weird how all this stuff is happening, and people are asking, "Well, I wonder how much blood's going to go for in the next 30 days." And I'm thinking, if you can live for 2 more years, if you can live for 2 more years, and you didn't have a vaccination, you're going to be sought after because they're going to need to figure out how to get the proper DNA, not the tainted shit, and
Mhm.
and
Well, the thing is, you gotta think about it. For, blood transfusions, sperm, eggs, people who wanna donate a kidney or things like that, it's gonna matter, and I've even seen, I hate to say it, I've seen a couple of posts on, some different websites about looking for, you know, dates or whatever, and they're, like, unvaccinated. They say, looking for someone who's unvaccinated. I mean, it sounds terrible, but they were doing the same thing to the people that were vaccinated, uh, you know, 2 years ago, so, you know, karma sucks.
yeah,
But, I'm proud of, I'm thankful. I'm very thankful that that the hair on the back of my neck started standing up when they first came out, and they said, it's a 99% chance that, if you're healthy and this, that, and the other, you won't have any problems, not to worry about it. And then it wasn't even 6 months later, they're saying, oh my God, we're trying to, make sure everybody's, uh, covered with rags, on your face, and you can't go here and you can't do that because everybody's dying from it. I'm like, they just said that if you were, healthy and this, that, and the other, that your chances were good that you wouldn't even know. Most people didn't even know they had it. They were no symptoms. I'd never heard of any disease ever where you had no symptoms, but the only way you knew you even had it is when they did a test that said you had it. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So, I don't know. I just thought it was all bull crap. And that's when I started looking at it and I was like, I don't even believe that this is even real. I didn't even know if it was even I go, it's like a flu or a cold, a really bad cold or really bad flu. But I'm not gonna, you know, do anything different than I normally do. And I just took care of myself, took my vitamins, washed my hands all the time, that type of thing. And, I just tried not to go anywhere where people were coughing a lot. I didn't want to get coughed on or whatever, just like you normally would do. But when the whole thing came out, even though Trump was, talking about the jabs and all that, I didn't do it. I'm not one of those people that's a huge whatever Trump says, I'm gonna jump off a bridge. Anyone that's that dumb is just dumb. You know what I mean? If no one's gonna make me do something that I don't want to do. I'm not a sheeple. I'm not gonna just follow someone to the grave or whatever. I'm gonna make my own decisions, and I'm glad I made the decision not to do it. It's just simply because I didn't want to. And then my allergy doctor said, "No, I wouldn't get it. We don't know what's in it. You could have a really bad reaction and die, or have a seizure or whatever, and maybe not be able to walk, or who knows what would happen." So I just said, I'm not doing it. And I'm glad I didn't.
It's very scary situation that we're living in right now. And the bad thing is that we can't really jump out of it and say like, all right, well, at least that psyop is over. No, we're still living in it. We're still dealing with it.
Well,
And
they're still making people take it. They got it on the list now for kids to get it in their yearly shots. I
yeah, I
mean,
saw that.
why? I mean, they got to get that taken off, because more and more facts are coming out to saying that it's not safe to take. The whole thing is, they had it bought and paid for and ready to sell before the virus even came out. So,
So
to me, the more that comes out, the more I'm glad I had my own thought process and wasn't listening to other people.
there was a insurer that was doing property and casualty, and they wanted their PNC customers, that's auto insurance.
Hmm.
They wanted their customers to have proof of vaccination status, otherwise they would bump them up, because people who are not vaccinated are more likely to get into more auto accidents. And I don't know where that came from, unless they're gambling on the fact that everybody who took this vaccine will be like struggling medically in 2 to 5 years. And
Hmm.
who knows what's going to be happening to the rest of the world by that time. But
Well, just
you
think
have,
about that.
go
I
ahead.
mean, when they do, when you do if you get on the internet and you look up documentaries about, uh, doing any type of studies, okay, when they don't know what the effects are yet, for makeup, making makeup, or making perfume, or different things or additives they're going to put in food, or vaccinations, any of that stuff. You don't know what the results are until you do studies, which means you take the makeup and you put it on uh, uh, a dog or a cat or rats or whatever, and see if they have a reaction. If they swell up real big, then you're like, well, more than likely, if you put this on a human, they're going to have a real bad severe reaction and swelling, that type of thing. And you get into where now they even hire people that come in and they get paid to test and sample things, right? So if a person comes in and they end up, their eyes swell shut, then they know, well, some people's eyes are going to swell shut when they use this product. So the thing is, they didn't do any of that for this jab, right? They just started jabbing people. So they didn't know what
They
the
had no idea.
effect was, because we are the guinea pigs. See, the last 2 years, now they're finding out more and more that people can't have babies, that people can't get pregnant. People are losing their babies when they're pregnant, or they're having heart attacks, or they're having strokes, and all these different things. And these are all the clinical studies. The bad thing is that they were hiding as much as they could. So now we don't even know for sure the facts of who actually died from COVID and who didn't, things like that. It's just, they jumbled it up so bad, and it's such a mess that honestly, I don't trust the medical people anymore. I don't trust nurses. I don't trust doctors. I don't trust pharmacists. I don't trust any of these people to give me the facts about me anymore. You know what I mean? And I don't know if I'm ever going to again, because I'm a grown up. I've seen what they did and how they manipulated people and the media and everything to hide tons of things that they should have told us the truth and let us make our own decision, but they didn't. So how can I trust them with anything else when it comes to my health? No.
Now, the Fat Gamer says something pretty interesting. He's like, not everybody who got vaccinated had negative effects. Last time I was tested, I have the proper antibodies with no side effects. But my immune system is so strong, I've always been in that minority. And there are some people out there that they were given 1 or 2 or 3 doses of it, and they're living healthy lives.
Yeah,
Uh,
and that's another thing. There's been whistleblowers that's come out that said that it was in lot numbers, okay, that they gave it out in lot numbers, and that some of the lots, depending on where it was going to be sent, were placebo. And then the second one was made with this ingredient, and the third one was made with the MNR stuff. See, so depending on where the lots went, and they have records of that, and that's one of the whistleblowers was talking about in one of the big Twitter spaces that I was in, and she was talking about that and how it was split up and different things like that. So you'll have some sections that have a few people that are sick, and most people that took it, nothing bad happened. And then over here, you're going to have a lot of people from this one batch that got sick and some that died, and then a few that nothing happened. So, and it depended on whether they shook the vial before they gave the injection, or if they just did this to the vial before they gave the injection, different things like that. And I'm not a nurse, but people that I know that are in the medical field said, yeah, that's why you don't shake certain substances, because it puts air bubbles in there, and that can kill somebody, especially if it goes in the blood vessel. You know, just tons of things that I don't understand enough about. So you have to have someone that has the medical knowledge behind it to understand how to care for the actual substance, you know what I mean, that's in the vial that you're going to put into the syringe. And, you know, I don't know enough about that, but the more scientists and other doctors that research it, and the ones that were coming out and speaking against it since way back when it started, and they were the ones that were being fired and things like that. So, you know, I have family members too that took this different shots. You know, they didn't take the boosters; they just took the other, you know, either the 1 shot or the 2 shot, whatever companies those are, and they're fine. They haven't seemed to have any problems. So I'm not saying it's going to do it to everyone, but the fact that they lied to people and covered things up is wrong. It doesn't matter whether it hurts some and hurts others. The fact that it hurt one person, to me, is wrong. If you lie to somebody and they make a decision based on your lie, you're hurting people. You're not telling them the truth. You know, that's like, you know, saying, okay, if we give this shot to your kid has a 50% chance they're going to lose their eyesight. Okay. And then if you give them this one, there's a 100% chance they're not going to lose their eyesight. So which one would the parent take? Is he going to take the 50% chance or the 100% chance? Of course, they're going to say, I'm taking the one that's the best for my kid, that's safest. But they didn't give you that option, did they? They didn't give us an option to make that decision. That's why it's wrong. It doesn't matter if it hurt everyone or it just hurt a few people. The fact that they lied about any of it is wrong. That's where I had the biggest thing. And I'm thankful that for some reason, I just didn't feel comfortable, because I felt like they were lying. There was a few people lying, and why would they lie? What is it they're trying to hide? That made me afraid to do it. But a lot of people were busy or whatever, didn't have the time to think about it, or they were told, you either get it or you're not going to have this job, which I was not ever told, thank goodness. In some aspects, I wasn't allowed to work because I was told I had to have a vaccination card. And when I didn't get the job. So I did lose work because I didn't do it, but I wasn't forced to do it. I mean, there were places I could go and work and not have to have it. So I was one of the lucky people. My lifestyle uh, changed a little, but it wasn't where they were saying you if you don't do it, you're not going to have a place to live. You know what I mean? So I was lucky in that aspect because I know a lot of people didn't have that option, and those are the people I feel the sorriest for because they were forced to do something against their will, or even if they were forced or told they had to do it or they wouldn't have a job, and they thought, well, okay, I'm going to do it, it's no big deal, and they decided to do it anyways. They were still not told the truth, and that's still wrong. I can help it. That's just how I feel about it, and I'm glad that he's not sickly or having any problems. So I think that's good. I wish nobody had any problems, but we're not in there anymore, are we?
No, we're not. We're not the ones making decisions on this end. Uh,
Mm-mm.
we've got a world that is willing to accept clown world mentality, and they are willing to put the obvious villains and supervillains in control of things.
But you know what? Did you have anyone that came to you and said, you need to get the jab?
Yeah, actually, my
Okay,
boss and I
see,
were
I
at.
did. I got harassed constantly. You need to get it. You need to get it. You need to get it. You need to take the shot. You need to take the shot. And I'm like, why? And they're like, well, because it keeps other people from getting sick. And I go, I don't,
That makes
I'm
no
not
sense.
sickly. I don't have any symptoms. And I did get tested one time and it was negative. I did not have it. I had them do it to my blood. I wouldn't let them stick anything up my nose, but I didn't have it. And I don't have antibodies or anything because I've never had COVID. I'm knock on wood. But the thing is that I don't even trust the tests that they have anymore, you know, because when you can take 12 or 13 kits and you can rub it on your dog, your cat, the floor, the counter, a peach, a watermelon, and send it off, and almost all of them come back positive for COVID, then, I hate to say it, but I don't believe those tests.
It made me laugh whenever they told me in the hospital that I had COVID. I'm like, it's a respiratory issue that I've got. I think it's pneumonia. Well, you've got COVID with your pneumonia. And I'm like, whatever. And then they started hooking me up to the remdesivir and all the bad stuff, which I didn't know about yet. And I
Mm-hmm.
sat there for 3 days reading on the internet all the stuff going wrong. And when they wouldn't let me get a different treatment, I just yanked the IV out of my arm. And I'm like, we're done. Whatever I can do to get mobile again, I need to do it. I need a gallon of OJ daily so I can
Mm-hmm.
just quaff that and I can be better. And the lady asked me, "Are you a professional athlete? How do you know? What do you know about this stuff?" I'm like, "I know probably as much as you because for the last 3 days, all I've done is sit here with my smartphone in my left hand and read and been listening to people talk about this stuff. And I'm pretty certain that you're not willing to listen to what's going on with people that are having renal failure with this stupid treatment." And
Mm-hmm.
she got this ashy complexion at that point. She just looked like she was getting ready to. I don't know what to say. I think I should call him a racist. And she had that look on her face, like she had lost
Yeah.
the argument. So
Well,
we'll figure out what's going on at some point, and there will be a reckoning, but it's not going to probably be in my lifetime. I mean, we're just now getting to the point where we're talking about JFK was killed by the CIA.
mm-hmm.
Hey,
That's
Fletty.
because they're allowed to cover it up for 50 years. They're allowed to say, well, nothing's going to be able to, no paperwork's going to be allowed to be out or this, that, and the other for 50 years. Why? If it's not a lie or they're not trying to cover something up, why do they have to hide any of it? See, that's what I don't understand, and why people are so willing to accept it that way and say, instead of saying, what are they hiding? You know? So,
Well, I got a cocktail that I take, and I don't mind telling people about it.
mhm.
I pop 3,000 milligrams of vitamin C. I do 2 daily servings of zinc.
Mhm.
I do the 2 gels of airborne, and I do that in the evening. And even though my wife got really bad respiratory illness last week. I'm still doing pretty well. I don't have super snot coming out of my mouth or things that she had going on.
Mm-hmm.
We also don't hang out together when we're home together. She's in her room watching her things, doing her crafts. I'm in here, and she's doing better. She's been weathering this for 10 days. I think it's almost done. Who knows what it was? But neither of us trust people enough to we're like, yeah, we're going to go to the office and get this tested. Nope, nope, we're good. I need to figure out maybe get a new doctor because I'm approaching a magic age where I have to take this gigantic package of bad fluid and then sit on a toilet for a day, and then I go in and have somebody feed cable down my bunghole, and they tell me if my prostate's in good shape or not.
Yeah.
And the doctor that I had before was very pro-vax, and I'm like, no. I have to decide: do I want to keep this doctor? Do I want to go somewhere else? That
Well,
sort of
my
thing.
doctor passed away
Yeah.
um, beginning of last year or the year before. I'm trying to remember. I think it was 2 years ago. He died, and I had him for 20 years. I loved him. He was a great doctor. He was, I mean, he actually spent time and talked to you, asked questions. It just was, just wonderful. And when he died, I was like, I don't, I don't know who to, go to. I would travel between Arkansas and New Orleans just to come back and see this doctor because I didn't trust anyone else. And now I'm just using a nurse practitioner right now because I haven't found another doctor that I feel comfortable with, except for my allergy doctor. Now I've been seeing him for years, but he's the one that told me, don't do it. Don't get the jab. I don't recommend it. And so I think he's smart. I think he knows what he's talking about. And he explained to me how they made things and how it's, unless they put it all in the paperwork, what's even in the jab. And I'm allergic to ibuprofen. I can't even take ibuprofen. Okay. So, there's a lot of things I'm allergic to, and I just have to be really careful about it. And, I'm constantly washing my hands. I think that's one reason why I have never gotten sick from it is because I'm clean. You know, I take wet wipes and sanitizer with me wherever I go because I could touch something, a door handle or whatever, and someone had some kind of perfume or something chemical in their hand lotion or whatever, and I got it on my hand, and my hand will start itching. I know it sounds really weird, but I just have to be very careful about the laundry soap that I use. All that shampoo that other people take for granted. I wish I didn't have that problem, but if I get stung by a bee, I'll die. So I have to have an EpiPen wherever I go. And I think, thankfully nothing's happened, but I've seen it happen to other people and had to use a EpiPen on them. So I hope it never happens to me, but, you know, the thought that people have had to been forced to be jabbed in other countries against their will and died because they had allergic reaction to it is sad to me, especially someone like me that I knew I've had allergies since I was a kid, and they've just, some have gotten better, and then others I've gotten worse and worse as I've gotten older, and now I'm doing the shots, and I think it's helped me a lot. So it's not like I'm against getting a jab, but that's not it. It was the fact of being told I had to take something that they didn't even know what was in it, or what it could do to me if I did get it. So, that type of thing. But each week, and I trust Jennifer. She's my nurse that gives me my shots, and I get one in each arm every week. And sometimes I get huge bruises on my arms because I have such a bad reaction when she tries to up my dose, because that's the whole thing. You get a shot of all the things that you've been tested for and that you're allergic to, and they do it in the small increments, and each week they inject me with all the things that I'm allergic to. And for 2 or 3 days, I don't feel very good. But then after, it starts, my body starts not having such bad reaction to everything. And then that's how I'm able to go out and do things and not be, sickly all the time, because I'm building up a it's not really an immunity. It's like it's my body's doesn't see it as a foreign substance and then goes crazy trying to get rid of it. That's why you have swelling and all that type of thing. Anyone that's had allergies understands what it is. It's your body uh, trying to fight whatever it is that you're like the pollen you sniffed up your nose. Your body thinks it's going to kill you, so it starts sending all the white blood cells and stuff, and next thing you know, you're sick because your
Hmm.
body's trying to fight it, and that's all it is. So it's like I'm very sensitive to all that stuff. So I mean, if I went and I had surgery, I'd throw up for 3 days because of the anesthetic. So that it just sucks. But I understand what it's like, and that's why I just think that people should have control over their medical problems. If you have diabetes or anything, you should be able to talk to your doctor and pick what's best for you and not have anyone else interfere on what's best for you to have between you and your doctor. I just don't think anyone else should be able to say anything or say, well, we're not going to pay for it because your insurance company doesn't agree with your doctor. Well, you're paying for insurance because that's what you're supposed to do. And they're supposed to let your doctor choose what's best between you and him or her and your insurance company that you've been paying monthly, weekly, or whatever for should pay for it.
Yeah,
So
that was the hospital that I went to last year when I had the vid. I was asking them what treatments were available. Why can I get the Regeneron? And they're like,
mhm.
no, you and everybody else are asking for Regeneron, and we can't get that. That's not allowed by our HMO. And so really it wasn't a matter of the insurance wouldn't pay for it. It was the fact that the hospital itself was not allowed to get it because the hospital was paid for by certain things, and they were being paid to get subpar medical uh, things like
Well, what is that? What is that medicine for? I mean, if you don't mind me
Regeneron.
asking.
Regeneron
Mhm.
is basically a activator of your immune system. It basically goes
Oh.
in and it spikes you, and it gets you to where your uh, white blood count, your immune system is humming the way that a super athlete should be. And
Mhm.
a lot of people will get on that as soon as they start seeing evidence of some sort of SARS virus in their body, and they'll knock it down within 2 days. It's crazy.
Got stabbed by my rooster. One of his, they got those giant spikes on the sides of their legs.
Yeah.
And I don't break them or cut them off or anything because he's free ranges, and that's the only way that they have to defend themselves. And he defends the other hens, right? So I haven't trimmed them off or anything. And man, my rooster came after me and stabbed me. I mean, on both sides of my ankle. I mean, I had flip flops on or the sandals. He stabbed me a little bit on one side, but boy, the other one, he went way in, and man, it hurt so bad. I still have like a numbness around that one part on the inside of my ankle from that. And that was this summer. And I cleaned it up with soap and water, and I soaked it in Epsom salt and all that stuff. But I still went a couple of days later. I went to the doctor and I had her give me a tetanus shot because it'd been like 10 years or whatever since I'd had one. And so, but I trusted them enough to get a tetanus shot, not worried that it was going to kill me or I'd have an allergic reaction because I'd had one, but it'd been years. Plus, I stayed in the office for 30 minutes to see whether or not I was going to have an allergic reaction or anything, so they could stab me with the EpiPen if it was something really bad or whatever. But after 30 minutes, I said, I think I'm gonna be okay. So, and I came home and I was fine. But I want to be healthy, and but I don't want to kill my chicken. My husband, he would have wanted to kill it, if he'd been here and seen him attack me or whatever. But um, you know, that's what you do when you care about people. But it's I don't know. I just wish the government would just stay out of it and let us choose our own health choices, whether it's vitamins or medication or homeopathic or whatever it is that we choose. It should be us to be able to choose that, not the government. And I wish they'd stay out of it.
after we've discussed a little bit of problems with medical malpractice and one of the Geeks and Gamers staff sadly perishing over the weekend,
Mm-hmm.
and that sad note aside, I hope everybody has a really good, happy, prosperous year. And that doesn't mean that I want you to have like a fucking windfall and lottery, and you have no ills and you have no challenges. No, I want you to have challenges. I want you to have things that make you get out of your comfort zone enough to where you have to think your way out of a situation, or you research your way out of it, and you're able to circumvent it, and you can help other people, or at least direct them in the right location where they need to go if they have the same problem that you did.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
next week we'll be discussing the 1992 classic True Romance.
True
And
romance.
yeah, that's a fantastic film, Janet. I've got the DVD copy, and
Yeah, I honestly don't think I've seen it before, but I'm gonna watch the trailer and I'll be able to tell you whether I've seen it or not.
okay.
But with all those actors in it, I just don't remember seeing it with that many actors in it.
It was a big deal when it came out. I remember that. I remember that being all over the TV for about maybe 2 weekends, and then something else happened. But everybody was talking about this movie, and then in '99, I got a chance to see it because I was listening to talk radio. The
Mm-hmm.
people on talk radio channel, it was Rokon and Gary Meyer out of Chicago talking about it, and they were discussing, the Gary Meyer that hates disco, and they were discussing various things about the '90s that they loved. And somebody said Independence Day because it was everything the last 5 years had been. And then somebody else called in and said True Romance because every famous actor is in it. And they said, what? And they started going through the list of the actors off the IMDb page. And yeah, Travis J. 1975. It's a crackhead love story. It could be considered that. It's definitely.
Is it like cameos? You know,
Not really
like
cameos. Like
that?
Bronson Pinchot's in it for a substantial amount. Saul Rubinek is in this movie for a good chunk of the third act. You've got Vic Argo. He does more of a cameo-esque. He doesn't really say much. He just points a gun and is a menacing bastard. You got Chris Walken and Dennis Hopper have one of the best scenes in cinema history,
Mm-hmm.
talking about the Italians and how they got fucked. The movie is like it's gold. It is one of the most entertaining ways to spend about 100 minutes. And I'll show you the trailer here once we shut everything down here. But when you see the trailer for it, you're going to be like, wait, I think I might have seen this before, because I think everybody has seen this film before. It's
Yeah, but I really don't think I've seen it before because I think I would remember something. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And everything you're talking about, I don't remember any of that.
Now
So,
tomorrow night you're going to be with Drew on United Resistance, right?
mm-hmm.
Okay. I'll see if I can get that link here in the chat. What else do you have planned for this week?
Wednesday night, I will be on Lasso of Truth's channel, and it's a show called Real Horror, REEL, and we're reviewing like really terrible B-rate horror movies. So if you like Lasso, Trina, Lasso of Truth, and you can come join us, and we're going to talk about another movie. And I'm trying to remember the name of this one, but The Gate. We did The Gate last week, and then the week before that we did Jack Frost. So they're not really good movies, but it's a lot of fun. So if you want to come by and do that. And then I'm also reading I'm going to read another small bite-sized chunk of my book, Revelation. And then I've already come out with a couple more shorts, and I'll be working on some more shorts. So that's about it. Staying busy.
The holidays are almost over. We have a couple more days of that, and then we just barrel right into January, and hopefully most of you don't have to deal with weather issues.
Mhm.
I'm worried about
Unless
that.
you live in Tornado Alley.
A lot of
We're
people
getting the
do.
early chunk of it, it seems like, already.
Did you like the Pointer Sisters?
Did I like them?
Yes.
There was, I think, are they the ones that sang that song, We Are Family?
I think it was.
So I don't know. I
Anita
mean,
and Ruth Pointer were the Pointer Sisters, along with a few other friends. They sang
mhm.
Fairy Tale in '75, and then they did a big song for the '80s called "Jump for My Love," and they did something at the start of Beverly Hills Cop. Anita Pointer, TMZ is reporting Anita Pointer is dead at 74.
Oh, really? That's
She died
terrible.
peacefully at her home in California, and this is just in the last few minutes that I just got this.
Oh, that's sad. No, I
Um,
remember a song, it was called We Are Family or something like that. And I remember, gosh, I don't remember where we were at, but it was a bunch of us sisters together. I think one of the youngest one wasn't there. She had moved to North Carolina, but we went out and we were talking to a bunch of people, and we were telling them, yeah, we're sisters, and you know, it's, a couple of us do look a lot alike, and others, you know, don't. We don't. They don't. You know, I don't think we look alike at all, but other people say we do. And
Actually,
so the DJ played that song for us and told us to get out there and dance to it. So we was like, hey, it's our song.
that was
So
actually Sister Sludge that sang that.
We
We
Are
Are
Family?
Family.
Okay,
Yep,
so that's why I thought maybe it was them, but, I remember that song, and that's what when you said that, but, oh, well.
happens. Uh, okay, well, we're gonna be back here next Monday night for A Girl, a Guy, and a Movie for episode 39 as we discuss True Romance. Up
Mhm,
until then, if you want to see more Janet, you have her link in the channel. Uh, yeah, her link is right here, and she will be joining us Saturday for our adventure gaming
that's
at
right. Start doing that
12:30.
again.
We're going to muster at 12:30 and hopefully be live shortly after that, if not at 12:30. And looking
Mhm.
forward to this because it's been 4 weeks.
Yeah, it seems like forever. But, also, I have a Discord just like Bruce does, so if anyone, wants to join my Discord, if you just tell Bruce, he can share it with you.
I'm going into Discord right now to pull up your
Oh,
link
okay.
because that's what people do. Let me post this, and Janet's Discord is right here.
Thank you
Not a
for
problem.
sharing it.
Looking forward to seeing each and every one of you. Hopefully more, and hopefully with better uh, news surrounding all of us than what was happening tonight. Uh,
Mhm.
Not exactly a happy jump for joy night, but hopefully we'll have a better turn of events over this week. Everybody, please be mindful of your spending. Please be mindful of what you're doing, what you're at. Keep your head on the swivel. And we will be hopefully all united once again next Monday evening to discuss the movie which we said. And until then, the balcony is closed.